All right, everybody, how's it going? It is Tuesday, January 9th, 2024, and of course, we're finished with the regular season, which is kind of sad. It's always like a bittersweet feeling when the regular season comes to an end, and now we're in the playoffs, but at least we know we're going to get some pretty good football this weekend. The really good football starts next weekend. We still got like a couple stinkers in here in the wild card round that we got to like work through, but it's all right. It's a pretty good one. It was a really fun season, right? We did pretty good on our picks overall. We went like 167 and 105, so that's pretty good. Good for 61%, a little bit over the 100 mark, which is always kind of a bummer with the losses, but it's kind of a weird year. Still getting like adjusting to the new NFL, the new changes, the teams that are good every year, the teams that become bad. You didn't really see the Eagles collapsing midway through the season was kind of weird. Just random things. The Packers suddenly becoming good, so they were really hard to pick. The Cardinals becoming kind of like competitive. The Bears being good at the end of the season. So you have all these like weird things that just kind of made it kind of weird toward the end. But it happens, right? The NFL is such a weird sport because it's like week to week, so much can happen. But I don't know. It was a pretty good year. By the way, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Make sure you leave your picks for this weekend down below. Let me know how you did during the season, what your overall record was, all those fun things, right? So record, what your picks are for this weekend, how you're doing on picks, just whatever you want to say. Just leave a comment down below. Those really help out. And make sure you leave a like and all that too to help the video do better. Yeah. That's the YouTube stuff. So let's look at we already went over like our record. We went 11-5 last week. Good, made us 167 and 105, which is really good. 272 games. We got 167 right. Not so bad. All right. So we'll jump into the actual fun part now. We have to go over the playoff teams and seedings. So for the AFC, of course, we have we have Pittsburgh at the 7 seed. They went 10-7. The 6 seed is Miami. Is the Dolphins, who went 11-6. The 5 seed is the Cleveland Browns. They went 11-6 as well. A lot 11-6. The 4 seed. So now we're to division winners. The AFC South winner is the Houston Texans. Pretty big surprise. Probably going to get DeMeco Ryans the coach of the year. Then they went 10-7. Kansas City went 11-6 for the 3 seed. 2 seed ended up being Buffalo, despite them being 6-6 at one point, just having a rough run of things. And yeah, Buffalo finished the season real strong. Got the 2 seed, and the 1 seed is the Baltimore Ravens at 13-4. So they'll be bye this weekend. For the NFC, we've got, of course, all these teams. You have the Green Bay Packers at 9-8. They took the 7 seed after a really rough start to the year. The Los Angeles Rams went 10-7 and got the 6 seed, so good for them. Philly has the 5 seed at 11-6 due to their collapse we talked about. Tampa Bay ended up winning the NFC South at 9-8, so congrats to them. The Detroit Lions went 12-5. The Cowboys went 12-5, and the 49ers went 12-5. So you had 3 teams go 12-5. Lions got the 3, Dallas got 2, and San Fran obviously got the 1 and the bye this weekend. So, excuse me. Still getting over a little bit of this. I'm like a little congested still. It's almost over with. So that's cool. All right, this is the seeding. So obviously 7 plays 2, 6 plays 3, and 5 plays 4. So yeah, let's. We got some football to go over. 2 games this Saturday. So let's look at the first one at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard. We've got the Houston Texans hosting the Cleveland Browns. We've already said their record. Yeah, the Browns are 2.5-point favorites with an over/under of 44.5. It was really hard not to pick Houston in this game because, again, the way the Texans offense has been playing all year, it's been really good. They've been solid. They've been really tough to deal with. And then, of course, you have the Cleveland Browns, who defensively pretty much have won 11 games kind of almost on their defense. Myles Garrett, they've got Joe Flacco playing at an unbelievable level. So their offense has been good lately. Their defense has been phenomenal all year. It's probably like the 3rd or 2nd best, depending on like the Ravens and the Chiefs and the 49ers. So it could be like it's top 5. You have you have both probably the 2 leaders for coach of the year, unfortunately, for Campbell and DeMeco Ryans for Stefanski. You've got a very young Houston Texans team versus a Cleveland team that has a little bit of experience in this level. Not a ton, but a little bit. So, does the home advantage help out the Texans? I think a little bit, but ultimately, I think one of the things that's going to sink Houston is rookie coach, rookie quarterback, a bunch of rookies at like key positions. And I don't necessarily think that's like a automatic reason to lose, but I do think experience in the playoffs and experience in these big time clutch moments in these big time games is something that's going to like make major dividends. And when you look at the two quarterback situations, it's like, oh, we have a guy who's won a Super Bowl versus a guy making his first playoff start. Rookies typically don't really fare too well in the NFL playoffs. I know CJ Stroud is better than Mac Jones, but like if you look at Mac Jones' rookie year, you've seen him play pretty well. I think they went 10-7 as well. They had very similar numbers. Stroud threw way less picks and a couple hundred extra yards and like another touchdown. It really wasn't too different. And Mac Jones, when he played in the playoffs, went from like, you know, he looked like a good young competent rookie versus, oh boy, you can definitely tell there's some like something different about the playoffs. And I wonder if the Texans will run into this problem as well. Maybe if they had Tank Dell, I'd probably be like, you know, maybe they could pull this upset off. But it's just like you're going up against a very good defense that is extremely well coached against a quarterback with tons of experience in Joe Flacco. So again, it's just like, even if this game's going to be close, like I think it's going to be, it's like, well, what team can I kind of lean on? Well, we've seen the Browns win playoff games, or at least that one, and they have a lot of this. They have some pretty similar guys to that team when they beat Kansas City, but they have a better offense than when they did, you know, like, or at least a more experienced offense than when they played their last, you know. And then you have Houston. Again, this is like DeMeco Ryans' playoff debut as a coach. It's CJ Stroud's, Nico Collins, most of this team. So you're looking at like, it feels like the Cleveland can use experience, their defense, and kind of overwhelm the Houston team, who will probably keep it close and who will be back next year. It's so hard to pick a team of like basically first year players and first year coaches to beat a team that has some experience and knows how to play at this level. Plus, I think the Browns defense is going to be very overwhelming. And I know they played earlier in the year and, you know, Cleveland killed them and they didn't have Stroud, but it's like, I think Cleveland knows how to play Houston even if they have Stroud. So I'm going to go with the Browns in this one. All right. That game took a little longer than I wanted to because it's a very good one. This one I don't think is going to be very close. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard, you have the Miami Dolphins taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites with an over-under of 44. Well, my big problem for Miami this year is the fact that the only good team they beat this year was the Dallas Cowboys in Miami. So it's like, all right, well, maybe if this game was in Miami, they could take advantage of something, the home field advantage Miami gets down there, and kind of utilize that to kind of beat Kansas City with their home field. But I mean, it's in Kansas City, so it's going to be freezing cold. So one of the things that's always kind of grounded a Miami offense is like the weather. Because again, they are kind of a gadget offense that depends on the throw, certain kind of like very tight window throwing, very specific routes, very specific like places to put the ball. And when it's like 0 degrees and kind of snowy and crappy weather like it's going to be in Kansas City, I feel like that puts like an artificial stopper on a team like Miami's offense. So you can see that as one of the big problems is the weather for Miami and the fact that they just don't really play good teams well. Like it's just Mike McDaniels becomes extremely conservative. Tua starts choking and making bad decisions. Miami's also dealing with like a number of injuries that I really don't know the complete status of. I'm pretty sure like Waddle may play, but how effective is he going to be? It's like, will Hill play and how effective is he going to be? Because he's, I think at one point they were running like Chase Claypool as their one receiver because everybody else was dealing with something, or like it was a pretty rough situation. And you also have the fact that Kansas City has a top defense this year. Like, will Miami be able to kind of like slow up the Chiefs' offense? Sure, it's not that good of an offense this year, but again, the defense, the coaching, the environment for the weather, the experience of the Chiefs, the fact that Miami does not play good teams well. They don't really play in big games too well, except for that one game this year. Fun fact, the New England Patriots, they won 4 games. They won more games against teams with 500 records than the Dolphins did. It's just like, all right, well, that's not good. So it's really hard to pick the Dolphins, especially with the injuries they've got, the bad weather. If this was in Miami, I'd probably pick the Dolphins in an upset, but I'm going to go with Kansas City in this one for all the reasons I listed. All right, what else we got? Oh, shit. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Buffalo Bills at 1 o'clock Eastern. Now we're on to Sunday. The Bills are a wild 10-point favorites with an over-under of 35.5. While I do think Buffalo is inevitably going to win this game, it's just like I don't see them winning by 10 points. That's an insane line. Pittsburgh can easy cover that one. We don't really know if TJ Watt's going to play. That's going to be a big problem. So that's kind of the number one thing I'm looking at. It's like, well, the Steelers have some injuries on defense. One of them happens to be their best player in TJ Watt against a Bills offense that is, for the most part, healthy. They didn't really suffer any bad offensive losses against the Dolphins. So again, you have the Bills offense that can run the ball now. They can throw the ball, so they're multifaceted. It's in Buffalo. Excuse me. It's in Buffalo, so I kind of like that situation, right? You got to, it matters in the playoffs if you're home or not. So home advantage. Coaching, I'll give it to the Bills because the Bills play slightly better in the playoffs under McDermott than the Steelers have fared in the playoffs under Tomlin recently. And my biggest thing here is basically I just don't trust the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. It's been decent the last couple of weeks, but it's like, man, that offensive unit's so bad. I think Buffalo can completely shut that down defensively. That's kind of where I'm sitting at. I think Buffalo's defense can be really good. I think they can shut down Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett, whoever the hell they throw out there at quarterback. If the Steelers had a real offense, they probably would be one of the best teams in football. But unfortunately, this is the time of year when an offense like the Steelers kind of get exposed. They don't really have much. They get kind of beaten pretty badly by a team like Buffalo. I like the Bills to win. I don't think they win by 10 though. All right, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard. You have the Green Bay Packers taking on the Dallas Cowboys. This game's in Dallas. Dallas is favored by 7.5 with an over/under of 50.5. I don't really see it getting. I don't think it's going to be that crazy, but ultimately, again, so you have a couple things here, right? Dallas is at home. This game could honestly, the Packers could get the upset only because I feel like Green Bay has had some weird luck. This is a weird game to pick because these two teams have such a weird history together. Right, I do think the Packers can score on this Cowboys defense, but the problem is Dallas at home this year has been completely hard to figure out. They're a monster on defense. They're a monster on offense. I think the only team that's come close and probably actually did beat them was the Detroit Lions, and it's like, that's the kind of offense you need in order to be able to beat the Cowboys in Dallas. And I don't think the Packers necessarily have that kind of offense where they can keep up with Dallas if Green Bay's defense does what it does. Green Bay's played good defense the last couple weeks, but it's like, we all know that their Achilles heel is that defense. It's been the thing that's kind of lost them games this year. It's kind of been their weak point. All the fans want to fire their DC. So we do know that there's problems in that defense, and the Cowboys play very good football at home. They're very good at offense at home. They can run better. They throw better. They seem to just play better football offensively at home. And when you're kind of got this weak defense that the Green Bay Packers have been dealing with, I could see where the Cowboys could pile on the points. Say the game stays close because both teams are playing very well. It's like, well, all right, what defense do you expect to be able to make a big stop and make a big game-changing play? It's like, well, I'm probably leaning on the Cowboys. Now, again, this is one of those weird games where if it was outside in the tundra, you'd probably pick Green Bay because, again, Dallas is very bad at on the road. Green Bay would be able to run the ball in the bad weather, and it's kind of it would take Green Bay's or it would take Dallas's physicality they can utilize at home in a dome right out of the game, but it's in Dallas, so leaning Dallas on this one. Should be a really fun game though. Here's the game of the weekend, the one that everybody wants to see, right? It's 8 o'clock Eastern Standard. It's the Rams and Matthew Stafford heading back to Detroit to take on Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. Of course, you have the storylines in this one, right? Jared Goff is playing the team that cast him out, threw him away, didn't want him, called him the problem, and then he's playing his old team. He's playing his old boys. And then you got Matt Stafford, of course, one of the greatest quarterbacks in Lions history, the guy who was supposed to do everything that Jared Goff is doing for the Lions. He was supposed to lead the Lions to their first playoff win, Super Bowl appearance, Super Bowl win, but he did it for the Rams. So there's all these cool tension of like Stafford's homecoming, Goff's revenge game, Josh Reynolds' revenge game. You basically have two teams that are like weirdly connected together. Like the success of the Rams came at the Lions, and the success of the new Lions has come basically because of that success they gave to the Rams. So you have this cool collision course right now, and of course this is what we get. The Lions are 3.5-point favorites with an over-under of 51.5 at the first ever playoff game at Ford Field. So when I look at the Lions' 5 losses, right? This is why I'm thinking the Lions can steal this game. Despite their woes with being able to stop receivers, the Rams are going to score points. Cooper Kupp and Nakua are probably going to have big games. But I still think the Lions wind up taking this game. Again, I think this is going to be a high-scoring game between two very good offenses, with the Lions' defense kind of being a little suspecting. But I think the ultimate thing you have to consider with the Lions, they have 5 losses this year. One of them is kind of a bullshit loss to Dallas. We won't talk about that one. But it does kind of fit the narrative and the mold of the quarterbacks who beat the Lions. The Lions' 5 losses are Geno Smith, Lamar Jackson, Jordan Love, and Justin Fields. Those are the four quarterbacks in Dak Prescott for 5. So what is something you see in common with those 5 quarterbacks? They can all run, they can all throw the ball, and they can do both, right? They're scramblers with good arms. That seems to be the one thing the Lions cannot stop. It's like, yeah, they can't stop good receivers, but it's like they can win the games against good receivers. They won both the Justin Jefferson games. They almost beat the Cowboys despite CeeDee Lamb going for like 300 yards. They can almost beat the Seahawks despite them having all those receivers and no one that can stop them. The thing, it seems like the X factor in those games is always a quarterback who can run the football. That is the one thing that seems to beat the hell right out of the Lions. And one of the things Matthew Stafford cannot do is run around with the football. He's not very mobile. He's a pocket passer, gunslinger. And the Lions actually, of all things, win those games. They can get after those quarterbacks. They put the right amount of pressure on. They don't get fooled by the guy running around. One of the things I also do very well, they're like a top 5 run defense, so they'll be able to shut down Kyren Williams, make Matthew Stafford one-dimensional, make it so the Rams have to throw the ball 40-plus times a game. And when Matthew Stafford starts throwing it 35, 40, 45 times a game, that's when he starts making those mistakes, throwing those bad interceptions we all know about. And that's what the Lions are going to have to do. They know this. They know how to force this out of him. Now, the Rams also know Jared Goff very well. So it's one of those things where it's like the Rams know exactly how to get to Goff, but one of the things also, the Rams, Jared Goff knows every single thing about the Rams coaching. So it's like he can feed them information. The Lions are a completely different team now since Stafford's been there, so the information isn't as good. It's an interesting thing, but I do think because the Lions have had success versus quarterbacks like Matthew Stafford all year, and the only times they've really struggled or lost games is to mobile running quarterbacks with good arms. So I think for those reasons, the Lions will be able to steal this game from the Rams, win their first playoff game, and probably go lose to Dallas next weekend. All right, let's move on to the final game of the weekend. I spent a lot of time on a few games. But yeah, I like the Rams to win, or I like the Lions to get the win. I hope that made sense. I hope my loss theory works. This game was tough. 8 o'clock Eastern Standard, last game of the weekend, Monday Night Football. The Eagles take on the Bucs. The Eagles are 2.5-point favorites with an over-under of 44. Excuse me. Basically, I can't trust the Eagles anymore, man. I don't know. Like, ever since Nick Bosa was like screamed, or ever since the Chiefs game, and you had Nick Sirianni tweeting on his nipples and pulling them as hard as he physically can and going, "Yeah, see ya, Kansas City, yeah." Like they're 2-5. Ever since Nick Bosa was like, "Yeah, we blueprinted the Eagles. This is how you beat them. Follow it or don't." The Eagles have like won a single game since that point. Yeah, that 49ers game ruined them. The problem for the Eagles are the defense is really bad. It seems like everybody's scoring on them. It doesn't really seem like it's hard. The Giants just ran their pockets. Again, there's a blueprint on how to beat this team. And then, of course, with their offense, you've got Jalen Hurts with his finger issue. We don't know what's going on with A.J. Brown. Seems like a bunch of people are getting hurt. And it's just, like what? They're super inconsistent lately. They're super streaky anymore. They don't play good football the last 6-7 weeks of the year. And then you've got Tampa, who's been playing pretty solid defense all year, so they could shut down the Eagles. And yeah, they haven't been good offensively the last 2 weeks, but it's been division games and shit for them. So we'll probably see them do fairly well against a rather bad Eagles defense that I don't even think it's as good as the Carolina Panthers defense lately. Like, it's like, oh boy, this shit sucks. Tampa, at least Carolina's been playing in like low scoring, like shitter games. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are probably going to be picking Tampa in this game. I wanted to pick the Eagles because, again, Tampa hasn't been playing good either, but it's like they're winning games. Philadelphia started 10-1. They're 11-6. What does that tell you? You know, I'm going to have to go with the Bucks. The Eagles are just dealing, again, I don't know what Hurts' status is. I don't know how good A.J. Brown is. I think like if those two guys are out, then I'm going to have to go with Tampa in a rout. But all right, I think that's about it. I know I didn't spend a lot of time on Tampa and Philly, but I think with the injuries Tampa had, or the Phillies situation is just kind of in a destitute, kind of bad spot. But yeah, that's it. That's it for me. That's we'll wrap it up. We'll call it good. We'll put a bow on Super Wild Card Weekend. Those are my picks. Let me know what you think. Let me know your picks. All that fun stuff. Make sure you leave a like. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. But yeah, we're gonna get out of here because we've been live for a little while too long, I think. But again, I appreciate you all. Thank you for a fun season. It was a good year. Let's just hope that we have a good playoff run. Never know how these are gonna go. We're hoping for a 6-0 weekend, but I don't know. Maybe 4-2 is probably realistic. So, all right. That's it for me. That's wild card weekend down the drain in the dumps. I already did that. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. I'll catch you guys later. Big week ahead. We have a lot of streams to do. One tonight, one Wednesday, one Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We're basically busy for the next very long time. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. As always, have a good rest of your day, night, morning, mid-afternoon, mid-evening, snow time. It's snowing like crazy by me. But yeah, anyway, take it easy. Go Lions, go Tigers. And of course, it's always go Patriots. Best of luck to the Lions this weekend as they look for their first playoff win in fucking 30 years. In my entire life. I've never seen it. But hey, maybe we'll see it this one. All right, everyone. Peace out and have a good rest of the day. Bye-bye.